Joining me here now once again on the Rich Eisen Show, kind enough to take time out of his day, getting ready for a draft, fresh back from the NFL annual meeting, is the head coach entering his third year as such of the Atlanta Falcons, Arthur Smith. How you doing, Coach?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How'd you like the owners meeting? How was that one for you?
Yeah, it was good. It was my second time going through it.
Okay.
Didn't have it my first year, but went well.
Okay, very good. And so are you involved in the rules changes other than just talking to – how are you involved in that process at all, Coach?
Well, everybody's, obviously not on the competition committee.
Right.
A lot of the legwork gets done on it, but, you hear about the proposals and, if you feel strongly about it, you obviously voice your opinion, but that's pretty much way it goes from my standpoint right now.
Okay. Were you pleased with what passed, what didn't pass? You wanted something, you were up for something that didn't pass that you wanted to? Where would you stand on that? Me asking you a macro question on all of that.
Yeah, there was nothing some of the stuff you can tell that's probably inevitable. That's good for the game, and but there was nothing that I thought was just kind of out of left field or really bothered me.
Okay.
You can kind of tell what's coming, and there's stuff every year, and it's our job to adapt and listen to everybody's opinion.
Right. Well, what opinion do you have on one that I'm particularly pounding this table for, Coach? Just to jump right into it, is to have replay assist help on roughing the passer calls that have been made. I'm not saying that it should chime in on calls that were not made to place a flag on the field. I'm talking about, say, a team that's trying to beat Tom Brady that doesn't get the ball back because of a roughing the passer penalty that I think should not be called. I think you're see what I'm driving at here?
Yeah, I figure that's where you're headed.
Were you not in favor of maybe having replay assist help show a crew, hey, that shouldn't be called? Pick it up. What do you think about that?
They tried it, a couple of years ago with the DPIs. You don't want to slow the game down, and then in a lot of these subjective calls here, and I think as the officiating, as they're doing everything they can to improve, to get more consistent all the way across the board. But you start. And I understand the repercussions of those penalties and what that 15-yarder does. I mean, there's a team that was an advocate for it, and they brought some good data points to the table. But if we have more and more rules to replay, I don't think that's going to be good for anybody involved. I think the officiating, across everybody's trying to get it right. And so that's the best way I can give you without really picking a side there, Rich.
No, I got it. Arthur Smith of the Atlanta Falcons here on the Rich Eisen Show. So where are you on putting your draft board together? We're talking right now. It'll be 1 month from today is the second night of the draft. What do you got for me on that front?
Yeah, I think we'll reconvene. We got guys all over the place. We still got the pro day circuit going on.
Right.
Our last draft meetings we'll start here in a couple of weeks. We'll go right back through the board at every position with all the personnel department and with our scouts and then with all of our coaches. So we really won't finalize it till about a week out from the draft.
But when what do you look for at a pro day? If you don't mind sharing, when you stroll into a pro day, you're on a campus, and you look for what generally, Coach?
Well, it depends on what you're trying to get answered. If you got some questions on a guy, a lot of it everybody's got their own deal they're looking at. Your scouts, these guys have been looking at these guys for a couple of years. They've got all the numbers. They're trying to get all the comparative data. And for me, it's more, finding out who the player is as a person. You see the film, you've seen the workouts from the combine, or obviously watching the pro day. But just trying to get the whole picture, all the information you can, and getting it from people you trust.
Have you ever strolled into a pro day not thinking you'd be interested in somebody, or you didn't think that was a position of need, and then you saw a kid straight up and that put him on a radar screen, and he wound up somebody you either pounded the table for in previous spots, or you as the head coach of the Falcons wound up drafting? Does that happen?
That certainly helped. I think a lot of times it's the guys at the back end of the draft or the post-draft that you really can pick up some things about. I mean, these guys that are probably going to be in the top, let's call it 75, I mean, they get discussed over and over, whether it's through the media, they get a lot of attention, as they should, but as we both know, the majority of the roster is going to come from those later rounds, and the guys that, that's you can't skip those steps. And so I think more towards the back end guys that there's not as much information or aren't being talked about as much. I've gone to places and found something out that's really helped us, and draft those guys in later, or maybe get somebody post-draft.
Arthur Smith, head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, joining me here a month before the draft, just a few days after the NFL annual meeting broke up in Arizona. So walk me through, if you don't mind, the thought process behind getting Taylor Heinicke in your fold and under contract, his role. Did you see it?
So we're obviously excited about Desmond Ridder, but you need depth at position, and it's got to be the right player. And we've got a lot of respect for Taylor. Certainly we've gone against him the last 2 years, and it provides good leadership, a guy that can go in there, and certainly if his number's called, whether it's the second play of the game or, whatever's going on, he can win you football games, and he'll be great for that room. And that matters, especially when you're planning to start a young quarterback. That's so important, who's in that backup role.
And Desmond Ridder, what does excite you? You said we're excited about him. Can you put a few meat on that bones for me,
Yeah,
Coach?
I think that he's a guy that, he won a lot of games in college and helped when Luke Fickell was at Cincinnati. He really changed, the whole culture of that program. And I certainly think that experience, when you start that many games coming in, helps. We certainly saw it early on as we threw everything we could at him. And he was impressive, and we felt he was ready to take over in that time of the season, and I thought he did a nice job. Cool and collected under pressure. At the end of the day, you've got to be able to operate on critical downs, third down, fourth down, 2-minute situation, and I thought he'd done that pretty well. And certainly there's a lot of things we'll all continue to improve, but we got a lot of faith in him.
And so what did he, do you think, glean from his time starting towards the end of last season? What do you think is valuable that you've seen on film, or you've seen him just grow from your position as head coach, and that you think translates to this year upcoming? Well,
there's a lot of things. There's not the unknown. He's been through a season. He understands what it takes to prepare. I mean, that's usually what gets guys. It's a day after day. It's week 1, week 2, and that the early part of the season, that excitement, may wear off. And it's like a lot of industries, the guys that are consistent and understand what it really takes, not just physically, mentally, that approach. And he's very mature, and the way he prepares, I think that helps him. Certainly going into this year now, he got to finish the season as a starter, going into the off season, prepare, understanding the calendar, what's asked of him. Like I said, the way he operated was very impressive for a rookie, and now we're expecting him to take the next step.
Well, one of the many reasons why I'm asking that is, obviously, when the narrative that I'm sure you hear talked about for your team wanting, to start Desmond Ridder this year, and somebody of Lamar Jackson's caliber has a quasi-open market, right? I mean, there's an offer sheet that he can be signed to, that many folks wondering, why don't you in Atlanta just pivot to him? But clearly there's a lot that you've already invested in Desmond Ridder with time played and reps going in. So was there ever at any point in time a consideration of saying, maybe we just check out Lamar, kick a tire on what he wants for an offer sheet?
Rich, the league's become so much more transactional. I mean, you look around. Look at the people are willing to make trades, and they happen quick now. And I think anytime any player, it's our job to understand the markets that are going on, who's available, who's not, do they fit? And it's sometimes not just, there's a lot of things that go into it. With those transactions, where you're willing to spend in the salary cap, and they're great debates. Certainly makes your shows more interesting, and that's great for the league. But at the end of the day, you got to do what you think is best for your team, and what the way you're building and how it fits into that puzzle. And like I said, there's a lot of great players. They've become available, seems now more than ever. Look at the deals that were done a year ago, and then you've got a quarterback that's on a huge deal a year ago that's available now. That was unheard of 20 years ago. Not to date you, Rich. What was your first year covering the league? Was it about 50 years ago?
It's 20. It's coming up on 20.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry,
No,
I didn't age you that much.
No. I would have done NFL Total Access about Joe Namath's championship year, but I was too busy soiling my diaper at the time, Coach. I was too busy.
I didn't know if you covered Johnny Unitas either.
Nope, I don't go that far back.
I apologize, Rich.
I appreciate that. I think I'm a fine wine. But I think you understand the question, and you must have.
No, you understand it, but that's our job, is to understand everything that's going on around the league. I mean, your depth chart's never fully set in stone. I mean, things happen when you have injuries during the season. You see trades happen then. I mean, we've had success finding guys at the waiver wire. I mean, it's every day. It's always a work in progress. And so you're aware of everything that's going on. We don't have our heads buried in the sand, but ultimately we got to make the decision that's best for our team right now. And what we've done in free agency as we prepare for the draft, we feel really good about where we're at, what we built. It's been the first year we've been able to spend in free agency, and we're really excited about those guys we've signed so far. And we'll continue to look to improve any way we can.
Yeah, and so
that's the truth.
So basically, you looked at the landscape, and I imagine you didn't know if Lamar could be signed to an offer sheet, or nobody did, not you specifically, until early March, and I imagine you'd already gone down the road with free agents and things of that nature. So I guess the question is was it at all discussed? Obviously, you did land on Ridder, and he is your guy, and you plan him to be the guy, and you hope he's the guy that you hand the Lombardi Trophy to one day. But was Lamar ever put forth in a meeting by you guys in Atlanta?
Rich, I mean, every thing that becomes available around the league, if it can improve your roster, we discuss.
Mm-hmm.
And that's at every position, whether that's the fifth corner, the backup gunner on punt. We're always going to look to add, and that's at every position. So those discussions happen all day. Those are standard operating procedures, and I imagine most teams do the same thing. And I understand some players get more attention than the others, but absolutely, you've got to know what's going on. You get to see the trends and see what's available. So those are everyday conversations.
And
it's kind of like asking you, are you ever going to go on the bus? I saw you have Taylor.
Wow. Well, I mean, if you don't,
but I've yet to see you go on the bus,
Coach. If you don't mind me comparing myself to Lamar Jackson, there's a principle of the matter, and I told Taylor years ago. And Will, who, if I'm not mistaken, you've tire kicked yourself. That if there's no motor on the bus, I can't go on it. So at this point in time, I have to stand on principle. But I'm sure you understand that as well.
I do. I understand that. Okay. At least you're a man of principle.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Arthur Smith here on the Rich Eisen Show. In the couple minutes I have left, you signed one of my favorite people on the planet who I've gotten to meet, Calais Campbell, to a one-year deal. What do you think he brings to your equation, Coach?
Yeah, we're fired up about Calais, guy that he's been a pain to go against for a long time since I've been coaching in the league. And certainly when I was in Tennessee, he was in Jacksonville, he was a major problem. Of course, he went to Baltimore, got some big games against him there. We're excited. He's a guy that's played a long time and been very effective, and he can play multiple spots. Mm-hmm. And as we built depth in our D-line, he gives us a lot of experience. Certainly we can play him in multiple spots, get him out of the defensive end. A lot of times on early downs, I mean, he's a pain for people to go against. And as we're building depth in there, obviously with Grady, added David Onyemata, brought Lorenzo Carter back. We have some young players we're really excited about in there. And the more guys, the more depth we have will certainly help us.
Well, before I let you go, Coach, I appreciate the time here. One last thing. I couldn't help but notice at the league annual meeting, you were in the back row of the coach's photo. And I'll just come out and say it. You look miserable. I mean, you just got this look on your face like you just don't want to be there. I mean, what's going through your mind as you're taking this photograph, Coach? You're not smiling. I don't know what it is. Is it a squint? Was it a sun situation? What do you got?
I got in trouble with my family, and one of my sisters got married 2 weekends ago.
Uh-huh.
I'm not a big, you got to go in there. They do it real quick. I mean, it's faster than probably wedding photos, but it's just not one of my favorite things. Kind of thinking, just go ahead and take the picture. Let me move on to the next thing.
What do you mean? What else you got to do? I mean, you're with your peers. I mean, Tomlin's to your left. I mean, And did you choose that spot? Did they tell you to stand there? I mean, what goes on? I'm fascinated by this.
They moved at the last second, so there was actually 3 rows, and then, at the last second they tried to get everybody to move. A couple people went down the first row. I think Kyle Shanahan and I were the last 2 back in that third row.
Yeah, Josh,
into those spots, but it happened real quick.
McDaniels is boxing you out. McDaniels is giving you shoulder. Like, you can't have that. That's the way I look at it. I mean, I don't mean to read too much into it, but come on.
No, I mean, sometimes when you're, I'm not even paying attention to that, especially when you see a pretty good height. I'm not really paying attention to what's going on around me, Rich.
Okay.
Just try to get him to snap the picture and move on.
I don't know. Just on behalf of, everybody, and maybe your family feels the same way, just tell your face to smile next time. Just do that.
I'll do that. I mean, maybe I'll church it up, and maybe I'll wear a tuxedo.
Please do. Oh my
By
God.
the way,
please do,
Coach, if you rock the tux, I know this. I know it's your dream to go viral. So that would go viral. As the kids say.
I'll see if I can make that happen for you.
Okay, Coach. Thanks for the time. Always appreciate our chats.
Always.
Be well.
Appreciate
Thanks again.
it.
That's Arthur Smith, everybody, head coach of the Falcons, right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Catch The Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.